Hi everyone, Eileen here. Okay, I'm doing a tag today. This is a manila tag from Ranger, and I'm using Sweet Poppy Stencil's image of Black Orchid. It's absolutely lovely stencil, this one. Stainless steel, so watch your fingers when you're using this, and when you're cleaning it, use a brush to clean it. And I'm also going to use some gesso as a resist for the background. So let's get cracking then. Manila tag, Ranger's manila tag, a cheap makeup sponge, some heavy gesso. I'm using heavy Art Basics gesso, but any gesso will do, white gesso. Spatula. Just take out a small amount, pop it on the mat, spread it down. You want it nice and thin. Pop the lid back on. Let's clean this up. And I'll take the makeup sponge and putting it down even more. You want a very, very thin layer. Make sure there's no lumps and bumps, coupled with the fact that the thinner the layer, the quicker it will dry, and I need this to dry fairly swiftly. I'm not going to bother putting this on a magnetic sheet. You can if you want to, but I'm just going to hold this because this will be quite quick. It's a very thin layer all over. Just pouncing the makeup sponge through the stencil. And the thinner the layer, the less time it will take to dry. But you'll still get the resist effect, which is the whole idea of it. That should do it. Let's have a look. Oops, it landed in the gesso. Yes, that's good. I'll just show you this, make sure you can see it okay. It's a nice layer there. A little bit splodgy here, so just taking my fingers and wiping it over. That should flatten it enough to dry. If it blurs the image a little bit, it doesn't matter. So that's that. Clean up, damp cloth, remove the rest and the residue of the gesso. Makeup sponge out of the way too. And then a dry cloth. Okay. Now I need the stencil again in a moment, so just going to take off very carefully that top part of that gesso because you're going to put the stencil back on. So I'm not doing it within camera shot, but I am just cleaning off a little bit of the gesso. Right, so that's ready for the moment. And we're going in now to, or I am, going into my oxide inking and blending. Abandoned coral, tea dye, which I don't use very often, and seedless preserves. Let's have a sip of this coffee. Okay. Seedless preserves is first. I need the copy paper folded and over my stenciled, over my tag, because I want to protect the tag from my oily fingers as I'm applying the Distress Oxides. Seedless preserves first and straight off of the glass mat, and in a circular motion. It's a new pad, so it's nice and inky. Lovely colour. Really grinding it into the tag, and then onto Abandoned Coral, another blending tool. And again, that is quite a juicy pad, so won't have any bother with that. And that I'm putting into the Cedars Preserves area, then turning it round and onto tea dye. Ink that up. Protect my work from my fingers. Don't go near this edge though. Don't go near it, because if you do and you get a line down, it's very difficult to get rid of the line. How's that looking? That's not too bad. A little bit more of the abandoned coral, just lightly now, just to get that, got ink on there, just to get that blend between the two colours, looking a little more smooth. And then let's get rid of that. And then the tea dye at the very end. Let's have a look at that blend. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay. Have another bit of a clean up, I think. Move this. Take off that. And that. Right. Just going to put the lids back onto my Distress Oxides. Move these out of the way. And the next thing I need is a damp cloth, not too wet. And I'm just taking a top layer of the ink off of those gessoed images, just to remove it so that you can actually see the gesso underneath. Don't worry if you're not too careful about it. It doesn't matter, honestly, it doesn't matter if you go into the out of the lines of your image, because you're just adding texture underneath to the ink, and as it dries you will see that will fade into the background, but it just brings the whiteness of the image back to the surface. And that will do. Now what you should do now is to dry it with a heat gun, and I haven't got one handy, so I'm going to take a risk now and then just carry on without it, but dry it in between this stage, okay, before you put the stencil back on again. I'm going to just dab this over with a bit of kitchen towel, see if I can get some of the moisture out from that cloth. Yeah, that looks all right. So popping the image back on, but moving it off center. I don't want it to cover the work that I've already done. So I'm going to angle it. So I've got a nice flower there and that flower there. Let's move down a bit. Yeah, and then maybe that one there. So I've got that bud up the top and that. So I've angled it, but not totally covering up the image underneath. It covers it, but not totally this in the same area. Then I'm using Versifying Clair Warm Breeze and Versifying Clair Charming Pink. You can use archivals if you want to. I'm using these because I just like the colours, but they will take a little bit of time to dry, so you might need the heat gun to dry these as well. Whereas archivals, as you know, they dry a lot faster. These might need a waft or two with a heat gun. Starting with the blue and a smoothie. So it's Warm Breeze on a smoothie, and it's the dib dab dob bit. just through the stencil. I'm not using a magnetic sheet, as you've guessed, but I have put tape on to protect the areas of the tag and to hold the stencil down. It's a very quick technique, this one. Now I'm holding it tightly with my fingers in this area because the stems of the flower are thin and I want the smoothie to be able to get through the stencil to give me the image. Now I'm moving over to Charming Pink and a clean smoothie, or cleanish, and then that should give me the pink plus, where I meet the blue areas, purple tones. And again, going through that area well where I've got the stems. Let's have a look. Oh, that's nice. And then straight into water with the stencil. And when you're washing these, just be careful, okay? Use a brush. Stainless steel is very sharp. Pop those away. Pop that away. Now I would like to show you this one. This is my original one. This stencil is more central than this one, and I like this one better. I moved it over. It was to the side more so that you could see more of the white image. So bear that in mind when you're putting the stencil down. I haven't left a lot of area here for the white to show through. I don't dislike it, but it's in my mind it's not as well balanced as this one. But not to worry, you get the idea of how to achieve the technique, so that's all that matters. Now I'm going to use a white pen, and this is a Uniball Signio broad nib pigment ink pen, and the number of it is UM153, and that's Uniform Mike 153. And I use this is my preferred white pen of choice. It works on most surfaces. And it definitely works on oxides. Usually when people say my white pen doesn't work, it's on a surface that it doesn't like. And this one likes most surfaces. But not all though. So just outlining, not being too careful, just outlining the petals. Don't worry if you go out of the edges. It all adds to it. It looks as if you meant to do that. And I'm not going over the inked areas. For instance, there's a lot of petals underneath that flower. I'm leaving those be because I don't want to go over the blue. But I will do these. These are tiny, but they will show up more. That's quite nice, and I've got to do another one down here. I'm rushing this, you can take your time. And then another one round here. And I'll just do this one here. And then I'll stop because I'm bored with this now. You know what you're doing. So you just carry on and do all the white areas that you can see. Then after you've done all the white areas, you take I've taken a Posca pen, paint pen, and find something to bash it with. And when you've got something to give it a whacking, away you go. And it just adds some splashes, not all over the image, but around the sides to sort of ping it out a little bit, make it look a little arty. That's the idea anyway. Then I stamped using this stamp. And to be honest, I haven't given myself enough room, so I'm not going to do it. So where's my original tag? There it is. Okay. Because again, because that image is too far over, this one is too far over, I haven't given myself enough space for that. But this is Nature is the Art of God, and it's from Sweet Poppy Stencils. I've forgotten the name of the set, but it's on their website. It's a brand new set, loads and loads of sentiments, really nice. And I just stamped it there in Versifying Clear Nocturne, and it came out really well. I'm not into God, but I am into nature, and I thought that was lovely. And that basically is it. I've got a really busy day today. I hope that you're going to enjoy your weekend. I won't see you tomorrow, and I won't see you on Sunday, but I'll be back on Monday, going to do something with Lavinia Stamps on Monday. And Tuesday, I think I should be back with something with Visible Image. Just before I go, Sweet Poppy Stencils have got a brand new group on Facebook called Simply Sweet Poppy Stencils. And Lucy, that owns the company, along with her husband Paul, are going to start up a challenge, monthly challenge for you to enter if you wish. And there's a prize for the winner of a £40 voucher to spend on Sweet Poppy Stencils. So that's very generous. I believe that the first challenge entries will be accepted from August. So get cracking. Go over to Simply Sweet Poppy Stencils, join the group, and I'll see you there. Looking forward to seeing you there. Bye for now.